Good morning. Welcome to our cover crop update. Here we are, the first part of September. And this is how the cover crop looks. You remember a year ago, we planted this to rye, hairy vetch, daikon radishes, other beautiful things in here. And then in the summertime, I mowed certain sections of this entire field. And when you mow a cover crop, it grows back. So here's the rye here, and here, and here. And here's part of the hairy vetch coming back, right here. But as soon as I mowed it, I came in and I planted about every 2 to 3 feet through this whole field. I planted with my little hand planter that you stick in the ground and put seeds in. I planted it to a multi-species cover crop mix. I have big, beautiful brassicas coming up. Look at these collards. I have peas coming up. I have, this is a wildflower, and I don't even know what it is, but it's fantastic. And it's coming up, just starting to bloom. It's wonderful. It's something in the mint family because it has a square stem. If you get a close-up on that stem right there, and you look at the cross-section, see how it's square? So it's in the mint family, but it's something that was in this mix because they're coming up where I planted. We have sorghum Sudan grass right here, which was in the mix. We have turnips. This is a turnip right here. We have buckwheat right here that's blooming. This is buckwheat. We have a radish that is going to seed. Look at this.
Oh, that radish is pretty. Stay there for a minute. I'll zoom in on you. That blossom is so pretty.
We have the radish. This is another type of radish, so it's a different color. Why are we growing this? We certainly have edible food we can pick and eat here, and I have been picking yellow squash behind me that was in the mix. But that's not why I'm making this video. The reason I'm making this video is because we are killing out a noxious weed by changing succession. Very quickly, ecological succession means you start with bare earth from either a primary event where bare earth is formed from a volcano or another natural feature, or it's a succession that's happening from where you don't have brand new earth, so it would be like a disaster, like a forest fire. Or if it was man-made, it would be like a tillage event where you till things up. Your first responders to ecological disaster are weeds, the annual weeds that grow fast, give you bulk, and then they die. In certain areas where you have sleepy soils, that's a whole nother lesson on what that is. But where we have that condition, we have certain plants that will stay growing there. They try to hold the soil for a long period of time, but it's still early succession. Think of the giant Wyoming sagebrush that is all over the Great Basin Desert. Most of Nevada, Utah, parts of Idaho, a little bit of Oregon, and parts of Arizona. A vast area holding the soil together, but still early succession plants. But they're perennial early succession. Now, what we have here is a perennial pepperweed. And when you look out across the ranch, up towards the sagebrush areas, we have a lot of perennial pepperweed. The leaves are, at this time of year, they begin to deteriorate because we're going into the fall. But in this field, they are completely dying out because we have switched succession from early succession to mid-succession, where we can grow an amazing amount of food crops. Look at this plant right here. This is the perennial pepperweed right here. Let's just pull a random one and look at it. I'm going to move the grass leaves out of it. So here it is right here. The leaves are completely dried. They're completely dead. It's fully decomposing. The stem is still green and intact, but these are dying out. It will be very interesting to see if these try to grow back next year. So by creating a beautiful compost that has the microbes in it that support a mid-succession grassland, we kill out the weeds we don't want. So can we have gardens with no weeds? Yes, we can, by creating the succession we want. And this is proof that that is actually happening. Here's another one right here. We've been all the way through this field. Let me remove the hairy vetch off of it so you can see. It's dying. If we walk out here into other parts of the ranch, a lot of the leaves are beginning to deteriorate, but they are not doing the same thing. The leaves are still intact. The top where the meristematic tissue is, they're still growing, they're still thriving. The seeds are becoming viable. These seeds never became viable. The plants died out before the seeds were doing anything on top. So this is absolute fantastic. This shows us that everything I'm preaching about soil health is actually working. We can eliminate weeds, and we did this just by having great compost that we inoculated with, and we planted a multi-species cover crop. So your mid-succession plants in here are thriving. We even have a bunch of early succession food crops that are doing well. So the brassicas are doing fine. The sunflowers are doing fine. The annual grasses are doing fine. We have all these things we planted are doing good. The weeds we don't want are dying out. Now here's a weed. This is a weed we don't want, and it's actually looking pretty good. This is a red root amaranth, and it doesn't look too bad. So over the years, we will be able to smother out the weeds we don't want. But look at this example. I pulled one weed. Now let's just scan about 10 feet out. Okay, there's one more right here. Here's one right here. So there's two. And let's keep scanning. Okay, that's it. There were two weeds. Here's one right here. We're going to be scientific. Let's count all of them. So there were three of them. 3 undesirable weeds. Anybody can pull 3 undesirable weeds in their garden.
And that's pretty good for such a large patch here.
It wasn't 3,000. Well, I was only looking about 10 feet away from me. If we go out further, there will be more. But this is fantastic because the soil health principles I've been teaching, they are working. This is working. Hopefully this helps you to kill some perennial bad weeds in your garden.